Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. It's gonna be a nice day up into the evening. So around dinner time, we got a chance of showers, but currently 33 degrees, high of 63. So that's quite a 30-degree swing from now until this afternoon. 5:48 is the sunrise and 7:45 is the sunset. So get your kids out early if you can. So we're doing a little topical study, and we're looking at sowing right now, sowing and reaping and sowing, and I think um, for this we'll use our guiding verse. Our guiding verses will be Galatians 6, 7 and 8. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that he shall also reap. 8. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. So, what are we sowing? Are we sowing of the flesh or are we sowing of the Spirit? And when we sow, and we've been looking at sowing from the flesh side, right? Or from the deceitful or heart of guile side, right? We've been looking at it from that point of view. And we looked at some proverbs, and if you're just picking this up now, I think to kind of know where we are and what we're talking about, you got to go back and look at the other videos. Um, so today, and we looked at some of the kings and looked at examples of the kings through, the pure heart, what God sees, what God doesn't see, and the reaping that one gets. Even Abijah. We looked at Abijah, the child of Jeroboam, and he fell sick. But even in death, even in afterlife, or even after life, this life, um, you know, we reap, and God gives us back what we've sown. And Abijah, there was something in his heart that the Lord liked and gave him a honorable death. Right, he was able to be buried. So here, I want to look at Isaiah, and we're going to be in Isaiah 17, and the verses, I guess, because so verse 10, Isaiah 17, 10 and 11. Listen. For you have forgotten the God of your salvation, and have not remembered the rock of your refuge. Therefore, though you plant pleasant plants, and sow the vine branch of a stranger, um, though you make them grow on the day that you plant them, and make them blossom in the morning that you sow, yet the harvest will flee away in a day of grief and incurable pain. So disappointing, right? There's disappointment when we sow, and when we sow in the flesh. So here, Israel has partnered with Damascus. Okay, this is actually an oracle concerning Damascus, 17, and um, Israel in, I think it's 6, in Isaiah chapter 6 or 7. um, Israel, they kind of do a treaty with Damascus. So Ahaz, the young king, tries to do a treaty with Damascus, and um, or in the time of Ahaz, Israel tries to do a treaty with Damascus, and they're trying to get Ahaz, who's the king of Judah, to kind of join them. And so Assyria, against Assyria, and Assyria comes up and destroys Damascus. Okay, Assyria comes up and destroys Damascus, and so this, clinging to strangers. Okay, clinging to strangers and putting our faith in them, and we sow these seeds. Now, the seeds of life, right? The seeds of life is what they're trying to do here, because this is at the time where, Babylon is going to come, and the Assyria is going to come and pretty much rule everything and destroy everybody. Okay, and so, um, when we put our faith in people and we try to sow, right? What would God return to us when our faith should be in God, right? Israel should be clinging to God. God is who brought us out of Egypt. God is who, freed us from that slavery. It is God who parted the Red Sea, right? It is not people. It is not ourselves, right? That's all deceit. That's all lies. That's all sowing of the flesh. And so when we sow of the flesh, all right, on that day, you might think you're strong, right? On that day when you partner with somebody to against a invading force, or trying to make somebody else join with you, right? Your faith is in the person, and your faith is not in the Lord. And it might seem good, right? And that plant might seem to grow at first. It might. You know what? It might even blossom. But in the end, that harvest won't be there. It says, yet the harvest will flee away in the day of grief and incurable pain. When we it says, sow the vine branch of a stranger. When we sow and we plant that seed of a stranger instead of God, right? When things get tough, when things get hard, they're gone on you. They're gone on you. It's very disappointing, right? It's very, very disappointing when they when we sow from the Spirit, and we sow from God, and we put our faith in Him. When the things get hard, He does not go away. He doesn't go in the away in the calamity of the hardship, and He doesn't go away in the blessings of the hardship. Right? Things are hard, and yes, they're hard, and difficult, and we don't like them. We don't like the consequences of them. We don't like to have to deal with them. And they try us, they stretch us, they working out our salvation in fear and trembling. Right? It is can be scary, and it does tempt us to look towards people, or look towards things, or look towards ourselves, look to a stranger to partner with, and put our faith there. And we go to sow, and it in the time of calamity, it goes away. It flees, right? It flees. Um, and look, it applies to everybody. Check this out. Verse 12. Ah, the thunder of many peoples, they thunder like the thundering of the sea. Ah, the roar of nations, they roar like a roaring of a mighty waters. They roar of the roaring of mighty waters. Okay, so in the scriptures, right, in Revelation specifically, and the sea is people, right? The raging sea, it is people. Okay, so here, the mighty roaring of mighty waters, these people, and I'm directly relating it to Revelation, because what we sow has eternal ramifications, and the heart behind with what we sow has eternal ramifications. Just like Abijah in death, he was honored in death because there was something in him, that was good in the sight of the Lord, right? There was something found in him that was resounding to God, and so He gave him an honorable death. So for Israel here, when they're sowing and sowing in the stranger, right? putting their faith in the, as it says, sow the vine branch of the stranger. When they put their faith in somebody else and try to sow the seed, how, if if I put my faith in somebody else, right, in, or myself even, and this is coming out of me, and I try to share the gospel message, why would anybody want to believe that? How could anybody be brought to the Lord, brought to the Spirit, brought to repentance, to call upon the name of the Lord, when I'm not even doing it? And I could say whatever, but my behavior says otherwise. Okay, how I act shows otherwise. And so I could share the gospel with my mouth and give all the head knowledge I want, but how am I living, Christian? How am I living? Is my behavior, all manner of conversation worthy of the gospel that I have received? How is my behavior showing that I'm Christian? How's my behavior showing the Spirit? How's my behavior showing that I walk with the Lord? Or am I walking in myself, talking about the Lord? Am I walking in the vine branch of a stranger, talking about the Lord? Who's going to believe that? Not an ain't nobody. But when I'm standing on faith, the young kids now, they say, standing on business. Am I standing on business? Am I standing on the business of the gospel? Am I walking it? Am I showing it? Then I can talk it. And if I talk it, then what I sow will have eternal ramifications on the good side, right? That will lead people to honor in death. And I like that phrase, honor in death, because eternal life in hell ain't honorable, y'all. So, hanging on to whatever sin we are, or trying to be um, loyal to some person or loyal to the flesh, doesn't lead to honorable death. It does not. There's not no honor in the next life when we live that way in this life. Okay, and it matters to everybody. Okay, everybody. Like the nations, right? The roar of nations. It says they roar like the roaring of mighty waters. Okay, and it's fluid, and it slashes back and forth, right? Mighty waters. Verse 13, the nations roar like the roaring of many waters, but he will rebuke them, and they will flee far away, chased like chaff on the mountains before the wind and the whirling dust of the storm. And whirling dust before the storm. See, it takes calamity to separate. It takes wind to separate the wheat from the chaff. Okay, and no matter how much those nations that the vine branch of the stranger, no matter how much they roar and they try to come up and make you think that they got your back against the enemy, when the time comes, he will rebuke them. God will rebuke them, okay? And they will flee far away, chased like chaff from the mountains before the wind and the whirling dust before them. Don't put your faith there, because you will be disappointed. And then finally in verse 14, at evening time, behold, terror before morning, they are no more. This is the portion of those who loot us, and the lot of those who plunder us. Don't put your faith in nothing else, right? Because the enemy, you won't be protected by God, right? You'll be rolling with the stranger. Out of here, right? Out of here. But when your faith is in God, when you sow faithfully in God, you will be protected, right? You will be the wheat that's held back in the calamity, right? In the storm, in the winds. Everybody else gonna be separated, and God's gonna rebuke it. I'm telling you, He's gonna, when He comes back, when Jesus Christ comes back, y'all, He is not gonna be the Lamb. He's coming back as the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. He's gonna be the Lion of Judah, the King of the jungle, y'all. Like he is not coming back to. He's coming back to rebuke. He's coming back to separate. He's coming back as a storm. He is coming back to for who's faithful. He's coming back for who sows in the Spirit. And if you love people, if you love, if there's anybody in your life you love, live your Christian life. And because sometimes they don't want to hear it from you, but they see how you live. They see how you live. Live your Christian life. Live it in the Spirit. Sow in the Spirit, and um, you be planting seeds to where hopefully, prayerfully, you pray for them that the seeds take, and there's honor in death for them as well.